Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles 2 is the sequel to the first Demon Slayer game that added new functions, mechanics, maps, story mode, and things that generally allow a game to be a sequel. Now, I'm not here to review the game and tell you whether or not it's good, bad, or things of that nature. Today we're going to do something a little more traverse, and you guys can be the deciding factor once I go through all the pros and cons and just give you an answer on whether or not this game was actually worth the $70 spent. Is Demon Slayer the Hinokami Chronicles 2 worth the purchase? Let's get into it. So in order to make this completely fair, I'm going to break this review into two different categories, from a single player standpoint and from a versus mode and online player standpoint. That way the game can have a fair chance, and if you, the consumer or the person watching the video, like the verdict based on online or based on single player content, you can decide for yourself whether or not you actually want to buy the game if you already have it, or maybe change it and, debate the opinions down below based on the verdict I give. Starting off with the single player content, there's not that much lacking, I have to say. Obviously, majority of the people who are getting the game for single player content are mostly doing it for the story mode, and that is either because you've watched the show and you want to relive it through the anime gaming scene, you want to play as the characters, you want to re-experience it, you want to have fun, or you've never watched the anime and you are playing the game for the first time in order to get a feel of what the anime is about and really walk you through what Demon Slayer is and, get up to date without having to watch the anime if you don't have that much time. If you're somebody that fits in this category, then the story mode is absolutely for you. It's definitely an upgrade from the first game. The first game was very slow-paced, lackluster, and it felt more or less like torture than the actual flowing, easy storytelling. A lot of the old boss battles were boring, repetitive, and the movement wasn't very fluent as well. You weren't allowed to run, you weren't allowed to do things that you wanted with movement through the map, and it really felt less like a advanced exploring story mode and more like a restrictive, forced area that you have to go through just to run into the same type of boss battles over and over again. And Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles 2 improves on that by giving us more fluent movement, running options, and a vast, bigger map that allows you to control. The characters don't feel stiff, you're not forced to move at a slow pedal, and you're able to go through the story mode in a way that makes it feel fluent. It doesn't feel forced. You don't feel like you're being forced to go in the areas. And it's very much appreciated. It's pretty cool. The graphics are absolutely outstanding. As always, this company never really fails in that. That's never really the problem with CC2. The graphics are amazing. Characters' hair moves when you move. Every little detail and accessory in the environment is fine-tuned, so you never really break immersion. There's no high glitches or anything, and if you're here to learn about what Demon Slayer is and you're continuing from the first game and you never watched the anime, then you absolutely are going to get the complete package with this game. They even add extra stuff that the story from the anime didn't show, and it's pretty cool because you get to see it in the game and show you different little scenes that kind of connect story pieces and show you what characters were doing at certain points when you probably asked, if you did watch the anime, what is that person doing at this time? And the game kind of explores that, which makes it feel even more immersive, and it's appreciated, especially again if you've watched the anime. It's attention to detail and it adds more world building to the game. Outside of the world building, the story mode and the boss battles are actually pretty good. They don't feel repetitive, and it doesn't feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over. Some of them have different objectives, health bars, and different ways to defeat them. They don't feel repetitive, and a lot of the characters actually feel like they have more oomph to them versus, again, just going through the same copy and paste things over and over again. It seems very boring, and you have a lot of quick time challenges, you have amazing graphics, you have the story told and expanded, which opens the worldwide aspect. The story mode is absolutely a 10 out of 10. Again, CC2 is never a company that fails in story modes. It's usually the online aspect and, how much they offer outside of story that they struggle with, but we'll get into that on the separate side of the video. But once you're done with the story mode, you're probably going to want to play and do other things. If you're still looking at the single player aspect, we have the offline verse mode where you can challenge the AI with a variety of difficulty modes. And they also added something that is pretty damn cool, which also gives you a map unlock if you can do it, which is a survival mode where you pick any character of your choosing and figure out how long you can survive versus the various waves of AIs with no breaks. It's definitely a challenge, especially since you barely get any health back throughout the rounds, and after a while the AI will absolutely start to adapt to your playstyle and get more difficult. So if you're really good at this game, then strap in, because by level 20 you're going to be fighting for your life, and it's definitely a challenge to go through. But once you're done with the survival mode, there's not really too much else to do unless you're really fixing to either play with your friends locally or hop online, which is where we hop over to the next side of the review. Story mode and survival is pretty much the two biggest things that they have when it comes to single player content, and there's really nothing else to do after that. There's no reason to customize your card if you're not going to really be playing online like that. And they do have the shop, but it doesn't have that many outfits and things that I feel like the game should have, which is a negative. They do have good costumes and good things for Tanjiro and some of the main characters like Inosuke and Zenitsu, but it definitely feels like a lot more of the roster is lacking severely in outfits, customization, when they have plenty of things that they could have added to a lot of these characters that they just don't have. So that's pretty much it for the single player context. So if we're gonna go based on everything I've listed so far and the overall aesthetic of what single player content is offering, is Demon Slayer worth $70? And I'm gonna say no. I know you're thinking, what? You just said story mode was good. All the online and offline aspects were amazing. Yes, but I still don't think that it's worth $70. The reason being because...
Sorry to interrupt, but Kaizen here isn't being honest enough with you people. The reason why this game isn't worth $70 is because you shameless people will buy anything this company puts out. With that being said, even though the story mode is good, that's still not enough to justify a full-priced game with customization and skins that the first game already gave us. $70 for an anime simulation and a couple of cutscenes isn't enough, and you the consumer should be paying for content that comes with a complete package.
Yeah, you make a great point, Light. You still bought that shit, though.
Shut the fuck up, you worthless Shinigami. I wasn't even talking to you. Besides, I only bought it because I wanted to make a point. It was a necessity. A sacrifice needed for the world. I mean, come on, none of the Hashiras have a single outfit. Not even Mitsuri. We all saw the bath scene. There is no excuse for them not to have at least added that. And on top of that, modders are already giving us more skins than the actual company yet again. Look, this isn't about gooning and nude skins. I know how you PC guys get down. This is about the community doing more than the companies on a consistent basis. The reason they get away with it is because we keep buying it, and that is why it isn't worth $70. Now, keep up with my logic here. Think back to the old days. Remember when we used to buy games and they took us weeks, days, and sometimes even years to beat? These games had full-on stories, 12+ hours worth of content and customization, along with alternative paths to keep the game fresh. That was back when we didn't even have half of the technology we have access to now. So what is the excuse? These companies can do it. They just don't because you guys buy anything and then complain later after hyping being led around like horses and carrot sticks. That is the absolute truth, and if no one else will fix this cycle, the next time a game drops and we get the bare minimum, I am going to start jotting down notes. And believe me, things always change for the better when that happens. And that's just a start. Furthermore.
Yeah, alright bro, that's enough out of you. This man's doing too much. I'm not exactly sure how he got through to the channel, but he wasn't exactly lying. But don't worry, I'm not going to sugarcoat any more of this for the video. I'm going to give you guys the honest to God truth so that someone else doesn't come hijack my shit. Let's get back into the review. As I was saying, I would wait until the price drops and then get it, because I think if you're going for single player aspects alone, it's worth about $40 to maybe $50. 70 is pushing it at this point, and I don't think it's worth the full price. And now, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the online aspect. What is Demon Slayer worth with the online aspect? Now, Demon Slayer has a whole bunch of issues with the online and the verse mechanics in this game. So if you're trying to get Demon Slayer just for the online aspect, I'm going to go ahead and answer your question right now and say don't get the game. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad game, I just don't think it's worth the full $70. Not with the amount of online errors that they have, netcode, balancing, things that I'll get into more ironed out in the next video following up. But the overall aesthetic of what they have to offer online, the game modes, is what we're going to cover in this video. So starting off, we have the online basic features where you have the ranked mode, casual match, group match, and then you can check your rankings, the birthday event point shop, and then PlayStation tournaments. Now, the game just dropped not too long ago, so we haven't got an official look at what PlayStation tournaments look like, but I would imagine it's something like what Storm used to have back in the day, where you would sign up, play different people, and get points or maybe some sort of PlayStation prize at the end, depending on if you win or lose. Ranked match is your basic ranked standard setup where you pick your characters and hop online. Casual is a non-ranking based system where you can play with gear or without. And then you have group match where you can play in a endless lobby or you can play in a tournament-like setting. Now, I have to say, positive points off the start of the bat of the game for releasing with a working and functioning endless. A lot of the times it does not glitch. It does break up when it does here and there, but for the most part, the online is very functionable. My biggest pet peeve when it comes to online is being that you can't character select screen in the middle of sets. You literally have to pre-select your characters before the game starts and then you start, which I find to be a little tedious, especially if you're playing casuals and you want to play against your friend and change up characters. You have to literally back out and then go back in, which is a little bit annoying. Ranked, I understand, because you don't want people to adapt to your character or playstyle mid, ranking. That would be ridiculous, but, I still don't agree with the way the system is made up. And then that's really it. I don't think that the tournament mode should be left in the group matchmaking. And with that being said, I still haven't found a group big enough to even try out this mode and see how it functions, so I can't take away points for that, so I'll leave that where it's at. But for the basic functions that we have so far with ranked, casual, and then the little group match, I think that so far the online potential for this game is only worth it once they fix it. As it is right now, I don't think it's worth $70 because of the few varying issues, and the biggest one being netcode. Netcode is a absolute huge problem with this game, and at first I thought it was just the fact that a lot of people in the online anime community just don't have Ethernets for some reason, which they don't. But as you can see, location at many different varying points when you search for people absolutely is a factor in whether or not the game will function properly. A lot of the moves have huge hitboxes, and a lot of these moves have armor, which makes it impossible to punish people when the internet isn't accurate. You can't expect me to dodge out the way or react to certain attacks when your inputs are already behind, and that's something else that the first Demon Slayer game had a big problem with: input delay. So not only is input delay behind with this, especially in green or red bars or even ghost bars. I've seen my inputs go up to 5 seconds behind. I've seen my side dash mechanics go up to 5 seconds behind, and it just causes a huge problem online when you're trying to rank up and playing these fair matches where these characters do insane damage and you cannot react to anything on time. The good side of it is that a lot of these characters have flashy moves. They look great. They're more accurate to the anime. In terms of looks, the game has it. The game has it all. All the Hashira feel like they do from the show. Everybody is flashy, and it really feels like you're literally pulling off frame by frame moves that they did from the animations, and they definitely put a lot of attention into the details when it comes to the characters. But what good is any of that attention when you can't play online and have a real good time? If you're playing against friends, chances are you're going to have fun because, your friends usually have good net. But if you try to play online, which is the whole point of playing strangers and proving you're the best Slayer or Demon, then you can't really do that when your attacks can't land properly and there's a lot of errors and mess ups in between. There's also a couple of glitches online where people walk out of maps, attacks stop mid-frame, or they'll blatantly go through people. I've had that a couple of times as well. And once they iron out and fix a lot of these issues, which the game just dropped, so give or take, I think maybe by next month we'll have a good, decent patch to fix all this. But as it is right now, I don't think it is worth the $70 if you are just playing for online. If you're trying to be competitive, if you're really somebody who likes to buy these online anime games and prove you're the strongest in your group or in your area, then I wouldn't really encourage you to spend the full 70 until they patch and fix some of these kinks. You can still win a good amount of matches, but right now the game is basically chalked up to whoever throws out the first super armor, because everybody knows you're not going to be able to react to it in time. Then you start off your combo, you do crazy damage, and you rinse and repeat. They had this problem in the first Demon Slayer game, but once they patched it, it became a lot more neutral based until Demons came out. So hopefully they can learn from their past mistake, give us a patch, fix input delay, fix a lot of these input speeds, and nerf a lot of these armors as well, so that we have a lot more neutral and people have to think more about their approaches and punishes before they just throw out raw super moves doing crazy head crack damage. So that's my final verdict. If you guys are buying it for online, I don't think it's worth the $70. I think once they patch it, absolutely. This game has the potential to be one of the most competitive anime games out there if they patched it correctly, if they took care of the game, absolutely. But as the game is right now, I wouldn't pay the $70 just because you'd be paying online. You'd be paying to play online and you wouldn't really be having a good time unless you're playing characters that allow you to do whatever you want regardless of netcode, which that's your Mitsuri and that's your Stone Hashira and that's your Fish Demon. If you're not really playing these characters, then you basically have to guess, and it's a lot of hard moments, but I will say I've had my fair share of fun of the game so far, but I still would not really suggest somebody pay the full 70 at the moment. But what do you guys think of the video? What do you guys think on whether or not the game is worth the full price? The game just dropped about 3 weeks ago, so as it is right now, am I happy with my spending investment as a content creator? Yeah, because I've played the story, I've played online, I've had fun streams, I've done stuff with friends. There's a lot of tournaments going around in the community, which is good for the game's player base, which is great. But in terms of wanting to get better and wanting to play with skill and wanting to advance and really enjoy an anime game with skill, it just takes away from that because of netcode and a lot of other varying balancing issues that don't really allow you to have that fun enjoyment online. No anime game is really known for their balance to begin with, so I'm not really expecting some Tekken level, high level, balanced game. But at the same time, the simplest fixes such as input delay could allow for a lot more fun experience where I can play my opponent and at least guess correctly and move out the way in time so I don't get punished by attacks that would have whiffed otherwise. But that's my 2 cents. I think you guys should definitely wait until the game goes on sale or until they put out patches for these things. If you're a single player person, then if you really, really love Demon Slayer, then I say go ahead and buy it. Is it worth the full 70? I think it's worth 50 if you're just doing single player content. I think once they add DLC, if they add DLC single player content, then it would be worth 70. But right now, I would say wait for a discount. And if you're playing for online, I wouldn't even bother. Right now, it's literally just Armor Fest and it's not the best state. If you have a group of friends, then maybe spend the 70. But again, that's up to you. What do you guys think? I want to hear y'all opinion. Do you think it's worth the $70? Are you excited with your purchase? How has your online experience been? And what do you plan on doing with Demon Slayer in the future? I'm going to be dropping a lot of guides in the future, teaching you guys how to play some of these characters in the best way possible, despite all these massive mess ups with the game right now. You still can play with skill. It's just very difficult. It's not consistent. It's possible. It's just not consistent. But if you're playing with your friend groups and you're playing with people with good netcode who you know your inputs will go through on time with, you absolutely can show a good showcase of skill. So for those groups and for the people who want to learn how to use these characters regardless of what I've told you, I'm going to be dropping guides starting off with your boy Obanai, and then we're going to move around the roster from there with Zenitsu, Tanjiro, and all that. So if you guys want to learn how to play these characters, don't forget to join the Discord where we do guides, showcases, streams for casual gamers who want to hang out, play, and have fun. And subscribe and like to the channel so that you guys can keep up with my fellow future uploads where I'm going to be teaching you guys how to play characters on this game as well as other games coming out in the future. Appreciate y'all for the views, appreciate y'all for the time, and I will see you guys on the next Demon Slayer video.
Oi, I can see you haven't subscribed yet. Go ahead and hit that button.
I'm just fucking with you. Would you do it if it were true?